Hi everybody, welcome to the next in my series of updated for 2024 Beginner's Guide, new starters tutorial for modding DayZ community servers, aimed really at console, PlayStation Xbox, but this does apply to a lot of PC stuff as well. Now, in the description below this video, you'll see a link to the playlist that I've created as well. So you can always click on that and you can scroll through and look at the different videos. They are in some sort of logical order that you would probably follow if you were new and you just bought a server. Also, you'll see in the description below this video like a next and a previous link as well to take you to the next and previous videos. And again, hopefully they're in sort of a logical order, so we can sort of mod our servers together, because that's what I'm doing. I'm actually modding a server and we're shaping it to become the DayZ experience that we want. There's also a link to Nitrado, so you can buy a server if you want to. Just remember, I do get a little cut of that if you do, so big thanks if you follow that way. Right, let's dive in. So in this particular video, we're going to be looking at a few of the sometimes overlooked settings on your server, which is mouse and keyboard, crosshairs, and nightlight, I think are the ones we're going to look at. So go over to Nitrado, log in, and then go to the web interface of your server, and then you want to go to general settings, and let's start at the top and let's slowly scroll down. Here we go. So the first one we've got is deactivate third person. So if you have deactivate third person, people can't use third person, so it's first person only. I'm only a real big fan of this if you know that the only people playing on your server have got next gen consoles, so PlayStation 5s and Xbox Series S's or X's. The problem with playing first person on a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One is the frame rate doesn't really support it, I don't think, and it can be a bit odd. But you know, hardcore servers generally are first person only, because it kind of stops you from peeking around corners, makes the experience a little bit more immersive, and means that even against zombies things are a little bit more difficult. So you can always deactivate that. Personally, I always allow people to have the third person view because my servers are PvE. Deactivate crosshair. So this is another one for a more hardcore experience or in a more immersive experience. Tick that, deactivate that, and you don't have the little icon in the middle of the screen to kind of distract you. Obviously it makes aiming a little bit more difficult, especially if you're doing a soft aim or a third person aim rather than an ADS. Scroll down a little bit more and we have night lighting. So by default this is on, which means that your character kind of has a glow around them. Not an actual glow. If you were to look at them from the perspective of another player, they don't glow, but it means that you can see things around you, even if it's a really dark night and it's a cloudy night or it's raining, so there's very little light coming from the moon or the stars. You can kind of still see a little bit around you, but if we were to tick that, save and restart, things would get very dark indeed. So again, maybe for a hardcore server, you would have that ticked. It would force people to use torches, to make the fire torch, to use glow sticks, all that sort of stuff. And especially on a PvP server, where using a light can give you away, just makes things more interesting, and it makes anybody who's got night vision goggles obviously all the more powerful. For me, again, my servers tend to be a little bit more on the easier side, so I wouldn't have night lighting activated. And then we have mouse and keyboard. Allow players to use mouse and keyboard. Now for me, I'm just going to quickly save that now, because definitely on my servers, because they're PvE servers, so player versus environment servers, well, I don't mind if people are using mouse and keyboard plugged into their console. Absolutely fine by me. If it was a PvP server where players were fighting against players, then I would probably turn that off, because on console I think mouse and keyboard gives you a bit of an advantage, doesn't it? Especially mouse does in terms of aiming. Yeah, that's what I would probably do. I mean, I guess while we're here, we might as well have a quick look at some of these other ones. Disable base damage, so you can click that. Now you've got to be careful with disable base damage, because of course it means people can't break into other people's bases and nick their stuff. In theory, obviously there's lots of ways to get into bases apart from breaking the walls and breaking the gates. However, people, when they're making structures, will often make a mistake And you need to be able to break things to take things down, because you can't always dismantle them because you can't get to the correct side. So be careful about that one. So personally, I tend to have that one not ticked. I don't disable it because people want to be able to take up and down structures. I guess if I was running a PvP server that had base raiding only, say, at weekends, then maybe during the week I would have base damage disabled, and then the weekends turn it off. That sort of stuff. And then you've got container damage as well that you could do. And then we've got disable respawn dialogue and disable respawning in unconscious. So what this does is it stops players being able to quit out, if you like, when they're unconscious. They have to wait until they die. Again, you might have this on a server where you want to encourage your players to have interactions beyond killing. Because many times when you do shoot someone in DayZ, you might think they're dead, but they're not. They're just knocked out. And that means that the enemy can run up and you can tie that person up. They can come to, and then you can have a further interaction, whatever that might be. So there we go. We'll be talking about lots of other settings in later videos, but hopefully this one has been useful. If it has been, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe, and of course I'll see you again soon.